Hey everyone, Chad here. May 2nd, this will be the second video that I'm shooting today. This one is more advanced. If you are a beginner, I would watch this, but I would not do it. So let's talk about putting peroxide and basically nuking your soil. This is something that I've had a long time to think about, and I really waffled on it. In fact, I waffled on it so much that I just got off the phone with Ron Wallace, wallacewow.com, for all of your beneficial mycorrhiza, fertilizer, giant pumpkin seeds, great advice that he's willing to give for free if you support him.com. I was getting cold feet. I wasn't going to do it. I called up Ron. I asked him. Ron said, do it. If it's good enough for Ron, it's good enough for me. Matt Tobacco did it. Lots of people have done this. So I'm doing it too. Why would I put peroxide in my soil? Well, that's a great question. As we've talked about in previous videos, I do have disease pressure. Disease pressure in my patch. I have Pythium and I have Fusarium. So I want to do everything I can this year to keep that impact as minimal as possible on my plants. I really do believe that that hurt me last year. When I was ripping up my roots, everything was rotten. It didn't look good. Obviously something was going on. In conjunction with a more structured fungicide program this year, I am putting peroxide in my soil, which for all intents and purposes is basically nuking my soil. It's killing everything. It's killing all the good stuff as well as killing all the disease. The benefit to that is that the good guys come back faster, and with a scheduled and routine fungicide program, you can keep the number or the disease count in check. But for all intents and purposes, I'm starting the clock at zero as far as like soil health, biology, whatnot. So what I have done is I have saturated my soil. Today I put down my drip lines in the first roughly 10 feet of the pumpkin patch. So that is all that the plants are going to live in for the first, I don't know, probably 3-4 weeks or so until the vine really takes off and starts to run. So I'm sterilizing this section of patch first because I really don't need to do the other part. If I had the lines, if I had the time, I probably would, but right now I honestly just don't have the time. So I'm just doing where the plants are going to inhabit now. And then later down the road, I can shut off these valves, sterilize the other areas of the patch, and move on from there. It's important to note that once I sterilize everything, I'm going back in and I'm re-inoculating with all of the good stuff that's in the soil. So I have the Brasility from Ron Wallace Wow. I have humic. I have some molasses and a handful of other things. I'm just throwing everything in the kitchen sink as far as good, beneficial bacteria and fungi and all that stuff that I really don't know a whole lot about, if I'm being honest. I'm throwing all that back into the soil once I'm done killing everything, basically. So that will get everything back on track. It was, and it is still, as I'm seeing it happen right now, a little nerve-wracking to do it, but I think the risk is worth the reward. As I like to say, no risk it, no biscuit. So I'm doing it. Today, if you decide on doing this, it's important to saturate your soil beforehand. When the soil is already saturated, if you think of like an imaginary cone, especially with my drip emitters there's a cone that goes down that's moist, and then the water will want to flow that way. So I saturated this area with 200 gallons of water previous to just get everything ready to rock and roll. And then I have about 24 ounces of peroxide. It's, Zero-Tol. There's a bunch of different names for it. 24 ounces for 50 gallons of water. and that should do it. I want to flip you around and show you what it looks like. So here is the product going into the soil, and it's kind of crazy. It looks like you know, if you were get a scrape or something, you're on a bicycle and you're a kid and you come home and mom puts the peroxide on it and it bubbles up. That's exactly what it's doing here. So it's just you know, heavy bubble action, and then you can see that those bubbles are penetrating the soil, and that bubbling is coming up, and it's making like a little mud cake or something. So that's pretty darn interesting, and that's everywhere. So that tells me that the peroxide is working. It's killing stuff. Unfortunately, it's killing the good and the bad, but the good are easy to re-inoculate. So even inside the little hoop houses, not a big deal. I moved all my plants today, so you know, I did make sure that they're not really getting a lot of contact with this stuff, because I think it would kill the roots, even though they say, the manufacturer says, you can use this in season. I don't know about that. That doesn't necessarily give me a warm, fuzzy feeling. But then, you know, as the season goes on, what this is also doing is running this through. It's sterilizing all of my irrigation lines that I've used for several years. Later in the season, I'm going to pour some into my swamp cooler in the wet wall, so it will sterilize that. It's sterilizing the tank. It's, you know, just getting everything nice and squeaky clean. So this is the product, and again, it comes in, has a bunch of different names. This is Oxidate 2.0, also known as Zero Tol, and I think there's one other, depending upon if you get like the agricultural stuff or the more you know, home use type of product. Shop around. I got those for like $40, which is a crazy good deal. And I got them from my local chemical agricultural supply store. I don't think I know Ron doesn't sell that, so you can't get it from him, but you know, look around and go from there. So it's supposed to be very versatile. They say you can foliar with it. I don't know about all that, because again, it's such a caustic chemical that I don't know if I trust it. So I'm going to continue to water in this 50 gallons, continue to watch everything bubble away, and then per the label, you can re-inoculate the soil after an hour. I'm probably going to wait till the morning time just to let it all go away. And even Emily, my wife, who's a veterinarian, you know, she has a doctorate of that. She's like, well, peroxide is H2O2, and as soon as you mix it with water, then it just wants to become H2O, because it just evaporates away. It gets that chemical bond is broken once it's saturated. So, you know, I believe it. They can use it rapidly. So that's it. This is one of my, you know, nerve-wracking experiments, something that I'm doing different this year in an attempt to keep my disease pressure down and my plants and my roots healthy. Throwing down some peroxide, and then tomorrow morning I'll re-inoculate with good stuff, and then probably, I don't know, tomorrow when I get home from work, I will plant the plants. So that's all I got for peroxiding your soil. Again, you know, don't do this without lots of research. Don't do it willy-nilly. Think about it, weigh risk versus reward and all that good stuff. And if you decide to go for it, this is what you can expect to see. And that's all I got for you. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have disease problems, something you can consider. It's a tool in the tool bag. We'll catch you next time. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. See you next time.